We are live. Hey guys, how you doing? In case you didn't notice, we have somebody here, someone very special, energetic, and I know you got embarrassed when I said that earlier, but you are. You're a very genuine person and a very big part of the community. And you know, hey, you even wound up with a billet box that he brags about all the time. So and somebody, so it's like, yeah, but
Yes, thank you. You're very kind. Like your words are extremely sweet, and that's why I'm really excited to be here today. I can't wait to kind of just share my story, and if anyone wants to listen, that's cool too.
and if
But
she
talk
and
talk about positivity.
And if she can't get it all in one show, we'll have to get back and revisit because I'll be honest, even knowing a part of your stories, it's not a story, it's a lot. You could never get it condensed into one completely. So if you ever feel like coming back, we can always do more of this.
Yeah.
That said, I mean, yes, you've went through quite a bit and you've managed to come out of it being such a positive person. That's not an easy thing to do. So I just wanted
Yeah.
to before we get started here, who do we got here today anyway? Let's check this quick. Crap, it restarts. We got Matthew Welch, Ern, which is Fatherless Rucker, um, Lady Liberty, Jake Scrapwood, Disco Potatoes here. Wow, that's interesting. Um, Jake and Lando's here. Hi, guys. It's great to see you all. And that said, I am going to get the floor of, I'm going to let you. This is going to be one of those weird ones because you have so many different things you can talk about. I can't pick a spot for you to start, so I'm going to let you do that. I'm sorry. Usually I have it planned, but it's a little hard because it depends on what you feel like. What do you think is important right now? Like, which part do you think would help the people the most?
Honestly, I think I'm going to touch a lot on this last year and where my mindset kind of changed and how that's helped myself. I always put the disclaimer out there like, I'm not a professional. These are just things that have worked for me. And if I can share that with anybody, that'd be wonderful. Um, Positive thinking is difficult and it's not something that comes natural to a lot of people where they're just like, oh, well, I'll just think positive about something. And that was a big challenge for myself as well. So I guess I'll dive into it a little bit, but please feel free if you have any questions to ask throughout the way for you and chat.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, like it's great because like you've always said, well, like you're like such a positive person, and it makes me think about what my life has been leading up to this, right? And I'm like, well, I wasn't always a positive person. I would probably consider myself a very negative person for many of years. It's been a slippery slope, but it was a lot of work to get to where I'm at, and I'm still working. Especially with my mental health, it's just something that's always going to continue on, and it's something that's always going to like kind of challenge you, and you'll just have to adapt with it as it goes on. But yeah, like so basically I've always lived a kind of challenging life. So this is interesting. I'm just gonna put the disclaimer out there. I don't really talk about my personal life very much. People know me through the vaping community, and I love sharing with anybody. Like I'll share, or like you've listened to the podcast, and I tend to share on there, and sometimes overshare. Um, but I've never really like talked about me and like where I've come from. And I've never been proud of myself either. Like that was something that was really a struggle, is that it took me a long time to appreciate where I've come from and look at myself now and be like, holy crap, I've actually accomplished a lot. And it's weird just even just saying that. Like I don't like it. Like I like force myself to say, wow, like you've accomplished something, you know? So basically like this is going to be like a short version of the story, but I kind of grew up bouncing around a lot. My parents were divorced when I was like 3. Normal, well, to me, normal childhood struggles like with a split home, trying to win your one parent's affection and all that. My sister lived with my dad, I lived with my mom, and my father and I didn't have a great relationship for a really long time. And that was something that was like really, really difficult for me. And my sister and I talk a lot, like, about how that's affected us as adults, how we were always like striving for perfection or like getting approval from our parents. And I never really looked at it like that, and until now, like, I'm about to be 36. It's taken me this long to get to where I'm at. So it's not something that happened overnight for me. Um, but like those were like my early on stage challenges, is just like normal life as in my eyes, I guess. And then moving forward, I moved out at 17, got my own apartment, had 3 jobs, like went right into the workforce. So I've always kind of like had to work really hard for what I've had. And shortly after that, my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and I ended up losing her really quickly. It was stage 4 cancer, and that was really at a pivotal point in my life. I just moved out. It was in between like 17, 18 years old, and she passed like right after my 18th birthday, and that's when I found alcohol. So then like alcohol became my like go-to. I never was like an alcoholic to where I needed to wake up and start drinking, but if I was ever in a difficult like mental state, or I was forced to feel feelings that I didn't want to feel, alcohol was there for me. And that was like my entire life. So from 18 to, I'd say, probably like 4 years ago, that's just all I knew. So in the past like 4 years, and really in the past year, I've had to learn how to deal with feelings and deep rooted emotions without that. And that's been mind blowing, right? So to snowball on top of the story, like, flash forward 15, 20 years of living life in the fast lane. um, my father was diagnosed with lung cancer, and he also passed really quickly. Like, it was within 2 months. So it was a lot to process in that 2 month period. And at that time, too, like, brought up extreme feelings from my childhood. And I was like, I need to make amends with this before he passes. And that was a really difficult thing. um, but I did in my own way. I was already living out here, so I flew home. I was taking care of him, and then he was in the hospital. I was going to the hospital, shaving his face, giving him a haircut, things like that. And that was for me like really healing. Like, I needed that time. And it was just really, really interesting. It was kind of like forced upon me to like deal with all these things, because I knew just previously, like with my mother's passing so quickly, I needed to get these feelings out, and I just wanted to just have that amends before he passed. And that was really a difficult time for me. But we had been working on our relationship leading up to that prior, so that helped, because a lot of people might not get that opportunity, but for me, it was like something that was super important. Um, and then at the same time, my partner, at the time, her father was ill too, and we lost our fathers like back to back. So our life was like pretty chaotic for a hot minute. And just as time started to calm down, and we finally felt like, okay, we've dealt with this loss, we can move forward together. We moved to a new city, which is Cleveland. And about, I would say, maybe a month or two after my father's passing, um, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so my partner that I was with for 6 years was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I felt like my entire world just came crashing down. I was like, that's it. I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I can't handle this. I could barely handle what I just went through with my father, and I still haven't processed what I went through with my mother, right? And it was just a lot. It was a lot. But at the time, I just took myself off the front burner, put myself on the back burner, and stepped up because had I not been there, and it's weird to say because like you always say you meet people for a reason. At least I do. I always say people are in my life for a reason, right? Um, I really, truly, deeply, deep down inside feel that that was definitely the reason that I was with my partner. Because had I not been there, nobody would have been. Her other brother had moved to California, and then the one that was living closest to us just was absent. And it was really unfortunate. So I had to step up, I had to help. It got to the point where I had to quit my job and become a full-time caregiver for my partner, which I would do a million times over again. Um, you know, it was really, really tough. And it was, again, 6 months, 6 to 8 months of that. And unfortunately, with the rapid progression of her cancer, I ended up losing her, right? So that's three major people in my life, like that I've lost, and all to cancer, which is extremely frustrating. Um, but moving forward, like I lost myself in that process. So like after Tina passed away, I really fell into a bad depression. I was struggling and trying to figure out why all these things happened to me. Like I was always like, why me? Like why? Um, I was stuck in that like wanting to go out and drink every night. Um, my friends were all bar workers, and it was very easy for me to do. My favorite bar was across the street from my house, and that's just where I found myself for a few years. Um, and then Tess came into my life, and Tess and I actually met through vaping. She was a manager at a shop about an hour away. Her company threw a big like vape thing at a hotel. They rented out an entire hotel. It was like a big vape meet. And that's where we met. And we met at a time in our lives where we were both hot messes. Like, and we joke about it to this day, but it's true. Again, I really feel like we were meant to meet at that time. We both were going through some really serious stuff. And when we first started hanging out with each other, it was kind of like, well, now I have someone to party with, right? Because I think we both were in that mentality of like wanting to like just binge drink and go out every night. And we kind of did that for our first like couple months of our relationship. And then we just one day we were like, this isn't working. Like we have to change something. Um, and we've been together for almost 6 years now. And in that 6 years that we've been together, like we've changed so much as individuals, but as a couple as well. And I guess I could say that I'm extremely grateful and lucky to have her in my life. She has supported me throughout this whole way and vice versa. We've seen each other at our worst, and now we're like lifting each other up, and that has been like significant in my journey of like my mental health and just a better me. But yeah, like so bringing that back to where I am today, and this is just everybody in chat and everybody listening, like this is just weird like for me to just kind of like bounce throughout this timeline. So if I'm rambling and not making sense, just like say something. But
You're doing
uh
great. You're doing great.
okay, thanks. Um, coming up with this bout, I'm in October, I'm coming up on 2 years since I started this like better me journey. And I use like heavy air quotes with that because like I'm still not really sure what that is. It's just uh how it really truthfully started was I went to the emergency room. I was having trouble breathing. I didn't feel right. Um, they later told me it was anxiety, which I believe that. I do believe that that was a part of it, but I didn't feel good. And I was like, that's it. that drive home from the emergency room, I was like, this is it. This is the last time I'm doing this. I need to do something and I need to do it for myself. And I was like, I need to lose weight. Like, I was heavily overweight. I was 268 pounds, I think, at the time. And I was like, it's time to do this. I have to grow up. I have to be an adult. I need to take better care of myself. So I started the ketogenic diet, which, like, I hate saying diet because it's actually like a complete lifestyle change, and it's something that you should incorporate like for the rest of your life if you want to. For me, that's probably something that I'm going to continue doing, is just, keeping track of what I'm eating and carb wise. For me, it's worked very well. So that's the only thing I have to go off of for that. But I started doing that. I quit drinking because I knew that that was really not helping me get to where I was. And at that time, uh, also sprinkled in throughout those previous years, Tess and I had quit drinking a few times. We like quit drinking for a year here and there. We quit drinking for like 8 months here and there. So like I'd done that several times, but I was like, I'm quitting drinking. Like that's it. Because it was getting to the point where when I was drinking, I was either getting really emotional and like letting everything out that I had been holding in, um, or I was waking up with like really bad anxiety and just depression, and it wasn't helping me. So I was like, I think I'm going to be better at like getting this out of my life. And I see some stuff in the chat. I'm sorry. I was like, I don't know if
You're
I want to
fine.
keep looking. Um, but yeah, so quitting drinking was like a huge thing for myself personally. Um, and then starting the ketogenic way. And then I was like, it's time. It's time to face all my demons at once. So I was giving up sugar, carbohydrates, alcohol. And then I said, why not just sprinkle some mental health in there too? And I started going to therapy, which was something I was pretty against my entire life. And this is why I like to talk about it now, because I lived my entire life like listening to the stigmas of talking about mental health, and that it might make you look weak, or going to therapy means something's wrong with you. And these are things that are not true. Like, it is so important, and I can't stress that enough. And I look back at how challenging my life has been, and how that's challenged me in ways and made things so much harder for myself. If if I knew that going to therapy would have helped me as much as it has, I wish that I could tell my previous self, wake up and go. Stop trying to be the tough person. Stop trying to be the one that everybody leans on. Take care of yourself and do this for yourself. Um, but I threw all those things together at once and said, I'm doing it. That's it. Like, no other option. And I learned a lot, a lot about myself, a lot about what I can mentally handle. Um, and then here I am today. But the mental health part of it is just so important. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, once I started working on these deep rooted feelings, and even feelings of guilt, like when my mom passed, and we're talking about 2003. So I lived my life so many years carrying these things on myself and beating myself down with these feelings, that in my mind I had created like such a bigger problem than what like they really were. And talking to my therapist about that really opened my eyes. Like, well, your mom would have never have loved you any less just because you happened to say that out of a fit of anger. And I was like, you're right, but these are the things that I hold on myself because I can't tell my mother that to this day, like, I'm really sorry that I said that to you in that time frame, right? So it was just something I really held like over myself for years. And just dealing with that alone was like, wow, like the possibilities are endless. I was like, let's get into this.
It was
I'm gonna deal with all the things.
it was 2003 when my son passed,
Yeah.
and until this past year, my level of depression was just borderline, just functional. I was
Hmm.
functional, but right below the surface was that depression. And this community, doing this and being a part of the community, and a little bit outside of the community, helping as many people as I can, talking to as many people as I can, hearing people like you tell your story, helps me such a great deal. I don't feel that severe depression anymore. And that's something that's new to me. And I'm starting to feel like ambitions to do things I used to do, that I used to enjoy, that I had lost that ambition to do, like my drafting and design and stuff like that. I'd lost that ambition for many years because of that. And I wanted to give you a break because I could tell you needed it. So, yeah.
Just like it's a lot. It's a
Yes,
lot
it
to put
is.
out there in a short time frame, but it's a lot to just like say out loud as well. It's really wild. But I'm happy that I can do that. And I'm happy I can do that here and in the comfort of like really awesome people. So, yeah, but I mean, I 100% agree with you. Like, so much has happened just in the past year, and the vaping community has been there for me personally, like along the way, and it's just mind blowing. And I will connect these two up at one point, but yeah,
You'll get it.
yeah.
And Lando, I told you so. Sorry. I just had to say it one time on a live. I told you so. He said he would never ever like that flavor. I told him that particular one might surprise you. Was I right? Haha. I'm sorry. I just had to do the one time dig. It's last time, Lando. I promise. Love you, bro.
Dude, I was proud of him for just standing up and trying something new. That's difficult.
Exactly. It is, especially when you really have it in your mind, you don't like it. This is where reaching out, like I said before, goals like me starting off trying to do this show and talk to people and get involved directly online, getting in front of a camera. I didn't even like getting my picture taken. We talked about this just before the show. And to do this, I would never have thought it would break me out and make me feel better. There are times like, we've heard Nick say this before. Before a show, you get that you don't feel like it. By the end of the show, it's like, oh, I needed that. And that
Yeah,
happens every week, twice a week for me. And it's like, it's an amazing thing. And
it really is.
it really is. And when you can talk to people, and sometimes you think that you might help somebody, they might help you, and you don't even expect it. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, I saw that in chat, and that made me feel, oh, I got to try that. And I like the keto diet. I'm not 100% keto, but I am doing the carb watch thing, so that's kind of a keto diet. Um,
Dude, counting carbs is a struggle. So
yep.
I give you props, man. Any little bit, like definitely.
Oh no, it's a lot of it. I have cut down carbs to a very significant. I'm not doing the what I call the Nazi diet anymore, but I'm not far from it. Like I will be like, oh, okay, how many carbs in that? How many carbs in that? I'm not going over 50 for a meal ever. So yeah, good, ever. And I don't need to. I can actually, with the medication, I could have 100 carbs. I'm just not doing it again. I'm still losing weight. I slowed down a little bit with putting some carbs back in my diet, but it's not. I'm still losing weight. It's like no, I'm good. Yep.
Yeah, dude. That's amazing. Isn't it wild like when you figure out like just how your body processes carbs and it processes it as sugar, like you start to like see like wow, the food pyramid's really jacked up.
It is
But
because I was always looking at calories. Some reason
mhm,
that got me convinced calories is the thing. It's not calories. It's
yeah,
actually the carbs. At least in, and I don't. I believe body chemistries can be different. It might be calories for some people, but for
for sure.
me, carbs is the key.
Same.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
everyone's like, "How much exercise did you do? What did you do?" Like everyone asks me like what I did, and I tell them all the same thing. I'm like tracking your meals and putting it into like I use my favorite app is Carb Manager, but I'm like putting it into an app and physically seeing what you're consuming a day is the best tool out there. That's it. And it takes 2 seconds. These apps are wonderful. You can scan barcodes and everything. So that is my biggest tool. It's not how many miles I walk a day. It's, it's not constant fear of sugar or anything. I still treat myself. I still have like what I call sweet treats here and there, which are like keto friendly sweet treats. But like, I'm not living like a life of like, oh, I can never eat pasta again, or like, like it's not a negative thing for me. I'm just like, I just do things a little different. I have a craving for this, so I'm gonna ketofy it and do it this way.
And I hate to say it, but this helps. It
Dude,
does. Like
that's
we were talking. I was talking to the Texas mom earlier, and if she gets a chance to see this, she'll know I told her on it. But she was talking to me about why would you have such a big vape buffet. It's like, well, honestly, I don't do it for shows. I do it because if I start to crave something, if I can cure that craving right away with something that's sitting right there, it goes away. But if I let
why
it
do you think
build,
I DIY?
yep, yeah, I know, and I'm
Dude,
realizing that's helping even more because there's a few things that
the
I crave a
best.
little more of better, and you can't
Yep.
get that at the commercial. And I'm realizing that
Hmm.
more and more, and I think I gotta give a
God,
shout out to Fresh and the Mixing It Up team and all of them. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, you guys, you don't know how much you've changed my life already, and
Hmm.
it's just, but it's amazing how that can help. And it's not about the whole. I don't want to show 30 setups. I do have like 15, 20 set up, but if I'm craving something and I cure it right away,
Yeah,
it's gone.
right.
Yeah, and another thing that does help, I have to admit, it's kind of a cheat for the staying away from carbs. You can't really get out very much. You don't want to get out and go to the fast food restaurants. That helps.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think that that's a life change I'm going to try and continue even after everything opens back up because I think it's been very healthy for me. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I cook the majority at home. We did go out to a restaurant 2 days ago, and it was really wild because first of all, we weren't used to going out to restaurants because keto, but then also because COVID. So it was like really overwhelming, actually. I was like,
yes,
this is a lot. But it was kind of cool because I mean, we went to Outback, so of course I was able to just get like a small steak and then fresh grilled asparagus. And I was like, what a treat. Like, I get to go out and like do something because like we cook every meal at home. So it's crazy to experience that.
well, my daughter taking me to Applebee's, I'll admit that was delicious, and I would go back to that, even though that's hard when it wasn't super low carbs, but they shortened down their they don't because of everything going on. Some of the entrees aren't as full of. You don't have a plate and a half full of fries anymore, thank God.
Hmm.
But we also stopped when I went to the doctor's last time to go get my A1C and everything checked. On the way back, we stopped to kind of celebrate, and I figured, you know what, we'll pick up a Wendy's bacon cheeseburger. And I ate it, and we sat inside for the first time. I didn't know that was awkward and it didn't feel quite right.
Yeah.
And I ate it, and I was like, "This sucks. I want to go home and eat. I don't want to eat here no more." And it's I don't think I wonder how much of it is. Some of it might be it changed, or if I just have gotten so used to home food, I don't wanna, and it's so healthy. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've
Tess,
cheated or like cheated. I've cheated like 4 times throughout, like it'll be 2 years in October. So like four major times. It was usually like one was Christmas and one was, another holiday. But like every time that I've like mentally prepared myself for it, I'm like, I'm gonna cheat today and it's gonna be so great. I'll eat like a carb filled meal or like, a candy, like a piece of a candy bar or something. And I'm like, this does not taste as good as I thought.
yeah,
Like it's really weird. Now I'm just like, I don't like, even if I have the opportunity to like go out for a cheat meal, like 9 times out of 10, I talk myself out of it because I'm like, I know I'm gonna feel sick afterwards. And then I'm like, it's not even worth it. It doesn't even taste as good as I once thought it did. Or in my mind, it was this like
that's the
glorious
weird
thing.
thing when you get used to food. Like when you first switched to this diet, I'm sure you went that period where you just felt like this. I don't feel that great. And
Hmm.
then once it kicks in, you feel fine. And then you go back to these others and you try it, and it's like the next day you're like, oh, why did I do that? I felt that way after going to Applebee's, and I didn't even finish everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what like Tess and I joke about it all the time too, because I was like, dude, if there was a cheat meal that I could dream about that I'd really want, it's like the spicy pasta from Buca di Beppo. Like I don't know what it is about that stuff. It's like the spicy chicken rigatoni, I think is what my favorite one is. And I'm like, if I could have that, I would be so thrilled and so excited. And then we talk about it, we look at each other, and I'm like, we'd get like 3 bites in and be like so full, we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves. It's
I,
like,
I agree. I
yeah,
agree
like so it'd probably
100%.
be really disappointing in the long run, really.
It's like going to Wendy's. I always love Wendy's. It's like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. I mean, and the burgers and stuff aren't as big. They're a little bit less carbs in those than the others. So like, I'm gonna treat myself. I did really good on this. It's gonna be 3 months before I have to go back and get checked again. And I was like, you know what? One cheat day right at the beginning, out of the way, done. And I go in there and I had that burger and I was like, I'm not doing this again. I don't want to. I have no craving to. So I was actually kind of happy with myself for that. But that, I
Nice,
mean,
yeah.
and this is just a diet factor, but diet and exercise are definitely got life changers if you can manage to do both. And sometimes life doesn't allow for the exercise. You can
Right.
control what you eat.
Yeah. Yeah,
Even if
I'm
you think
telling
you
you, just
can't, Lando,
tracking.
even if you think you can't, Lando, you can control what you eat.
Like, if you just track and you set a macro goal for yourself, it doesn't have to be ketogenic. Just like know how many calories you're consuming a day, and kind of like you can use these tracking apps and say, this is how much weight I want to lose. They'll do all the calculations for you. So you don't even need to like really change what you're eating. I mean, I would suggest that just from my personal experience, but like just tracking and giving yourself those limits and the goals, like that alone, it's like mind opening. Like, I don't know. I had an addiction to food, so it's different for me. Like, if I sat down to eat a bag of M&Ms, I was going to eat that whole bag of M&Ms. Like, I wasn't just going to eat a portion. So now, like, I do it with almonds. Like almonds are something you could really
Yep.
easily like just over snack on.
Oh yeah, you can.
And instead of bringing the bag with me, I just weigh out a portion size and I eat my almonds. I still enjoy them, but like I don't have that like I'm gonna finish the whole bag mentality anymore, which
So
is
Tess says she's been indulging in sweet potatoes lately. Well, yeah, she's right here on the show. So just had to point that out. So,
yeah, no, she's been incorporating more like um keto carbs in her diet. She's been switching it up because she's doing like this whole workout regime right now where she's building muscle. So she's playing around with that and it's interesting.
but yeah,
I'm
but sweet
like,
potatoes are full of fiber too, which is really good for you. So that's actually a good option if you're gonna go there.
yeah, yeah, she's been doing that. Lots of cinnamon and yeah, cinnamon and butter, and they do taste sweet on their own without
Yep.
any sugars. And she's been eating a lot of broccoli. But yeah, but yeah, like I don't know. I guess like so mental health, right? So
Yes.
it's like um once realized like how important that was for me and how much it helped me personally, like everything else fell in line. So like once I was getting like my mental health taken care of, I found that it was a lot easier to do and accomplish the other things like losing weight, taking care of myself. Like in my life, I've never ever been like the number one priority. I've always put others before me. And so that was something really hard and a challenge for me was like prioritizing myself. And in that process, learning how to stick up for myself because I'm a yes person and I have been my whole life. And like I said, I kind of struggled with like overachieving and like being the best. And in any job that I've ever had or whatever, like that was my goal was to work as high as I could go up that ladder and like get there. And then I'd be like, all right, well, where's the next challenge? Like,
Yep.
I don't know. Like it's just some this how I've been. And so putting me first was also a very big challenge and just like in this last year just learning that and learning how important it is for like doing little things for yourself, taking that self-care time, whether that's reading a book or taking a bath or just sitting somewhere quiet. Like for me, I realized that quiet time is like my downtime and that's really important for me, but I never prioritized it. I'd always like be like, oh well, I really need to call my friend back, so I'm gonna prioritize that. Or like, I haven't seen Tess all day. I'm gonna just go, kind of actively listen, on the couch when really like I'm exhausted and I might need that time, but I'm not taking that. So again, like with therapy and stuff, like learning these things, like what I've been doing, like treading water my entire life, like to actually take that time and be like, no, I really need to do this and just sticking up for myself and saying that. Like, I really need this time. I just have to take this time for a second. Or telling a friend no. Like, that was
Goals.
that.
Goals is a big part of that. What you said too. It's like me to start this and get this going and to do this. I set a goal to do that when I said I would be active. Like when it started when I went that first hearing. I said if I got a chance to speak, I was speaking. Well, everybody thought I was just talking out my ass. Everybody took me because I went with the local shop to the hearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a chance to speak, spoke, made a difference. They paused the ban at that point and for New Hampshire at that point because I said the right things apparently. And that actually kind of got me a little more motivated. And then like the second DC rally, I said I'd speak. Not to knowing until like 5 minutes beforehand and dealing with a crisis with my daughter's stepdad and the brain dead issue and stuff like that after the motorcycle accident. Dealing with all that, I still went up and spoke. And I didn't know until 5 minutes ahead of time. Oh, by the way, you're first. Okay. Mentally prepare. Yeah, right. And like I said, I'd do it, and I just forced it. Sometimes you just gotta force it. You gotta force yourself to do what you say you're gonna do, no matter how uncomfortable it feels, within reason, obviously. If
Yeah.
things change, yeah, you do it, adapt the way you can, but try not to let yourself talk yourself out of it. You can always give yourself an excuse, and
Hmm.
that is a straw. You have a straw in that thing. Yeah.
It's funny.
Yep.
It's kind of
It is.
fun. Like, I'm not
I
gonna
can
lie, it's
hear I
kind
can
of
hear the
fun.
straw. Yeah, so is this. Yeah, my new toy came in, guys.
Cheers.
Duchess
I
coils
love
in
it.
there. Duchess coils. Yeah. Set up the series block in there, so he didn't have any series coils. With the series block, I could make a set of series coils out of the coils that got me. So
Nice.
yeah,
Win-win. I
a
love
win-win.
that.
Yep. Oh, Lando. By the way, I'd be happy to know it's caramel. The caramel version of what you liked is in that. So there, take that.
Yummy.
And
Yummy, yummy.
Tess, thank you for so much for being in chat again tonight and for being in chat the other night. I mean, I love it when you see multiple parts of a family here. It's even more special, I guess, is the best way to put it. It's really nice
Oh,
to see.
she is all about it. It was so cute. Like, I sometimes, like, I'm usually in my office and I usually do like all my vapey things in here. But sometimes I'm like, I need to lay down on the heating pad or something. Like, I go out into the living room and I'll watch it from the TV. And so I usually like, that's like my downtime. And I love watching your guys' show in my downtime because it's a kind of a vibe and like I enjoy it. And she has seen a few episodes like just from me being out there, and she's like, this show is really rad. Like, there needs to be more of this. And I was like, I agree. It's a vibe. So I was like, she's like, I want to get in chat. And she was like really nervous about it. And I was like, just do it. Just let them know that you like what you're watching and that what they're doing. And that's a positive thing. And she did, because she was really nervous about that.
I achieved a goal with my vape today.
Yeah.
Yes. I
What's
was
that?
trying to figure out how I could not have to drip 50 million times a day or fill a, like a sub ohm or a RTA at least 5 times a day. Well, you just get one of these and you fill it
Yeah.
up once and you should be good for a few hours.
Good to
So,
go.
yeah.
That's amazing.
I had to do it in the big form. I just had to. And honestly, it vapes really well. It's I like that every now and then I especially get on that kick, and if I'm stressed, I like that really like cloud chaser vape.
Hmm.
And that does it, but it's still got good flavor. So it's like honestly, as much as it's kind of a joke at the same time. It's a little fun to have, but it's also something I probably, because I always use my stack anyway with the Elite V2. That'll probably stay on the desk until I find something that fits more properly on. I don't
Hmm.
have anything that thing fits on. I will be honest, that's the best I could come up with. But
Dude,
yeah,
it's
but
gonna, it's gonna be nice. Just know that you can take that setup like out of the house and you don't have to bring anything else with you. That's the best part.
no, it takes a third of the bottle.
You're right.
So,
You like leave that 100 ml at home. Don't have to worry about that.
well, here's the funny part. If you really figure it out, 100 mil.
Yep.
There's yeah, that's like almost the whole bottle.
Yeah.
So,
For
yeah,
real.
same size around. It's identically the same size. So it's like
That's like how I feel with 21 700s and mouth to lung. I know I can take this entire setup out of the house, and that's all I have to take with me to go
That's why we ordered
run errands.
The Groose devices, because she has that Nevermore that she got from Stan, and she loves that thing, but she wanted something else to put it on rather than one of the bricks she has, and it's like, why not just get a single 21-700? The Groose is beautiful. We got the two of the Aqua ones, so there's that Aqua like panel on it. It's like I wanted one too. I was only gonna get one, but it's like with shipping, it's like, why don't we just get two of these? I kind of like that one too, and it's lost vape. So yeah,
Yeah, right. Can't go wrong with that.
I know I got a little vape here. If anyone is watching, it isn't vape. Like I said before the show, this is not what we're about. We do go adjacent because it's also another health benefit. It's much better than smoking, and many of us, like she, Disco Potatoes already said, many of us have lost family to cancer. I've lost quite a few family members that smoked heavily to lung cancer, and that's where my drive to try and stick up for the industry is. If I had to go without it, I could manage. I wouldn't be happy. I'd be back to that unhappy state, and I wouldn't go to smoking, but I'd be miserable. So a lot more than now. But it's more for the people that trying to save lives. That's the point for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the vaping community is freaking fantastic. And not only did I meet my current fiance through the vaping community, which is awesome. When my late
ooh,
fiance was sick, there was like a mixed vape shop across like from my house, and I would go in there just as a customer, and every time I went in there, they're like, "You're so knowledgeable, like we could really use someone like you." And then when my partner fell like really ill, um it got to a point I was working loss prevention, so I couldn't continue doing that, and I was actually in the middle of like getting a promotion to be a traveling undercover agent for all the old navies in my district, and I was like super excited for that. And I still wonder to this day how different my life would be had I taken that path. But obviously I couldn't do that with my partner as ill as she was. Like it was stage 4 breast cancer right off the bat, right into an invasive surgery because it had taken over her 11th vertebrae and had her spinal cord like compressed, right? So it it turned our whole
man,
lives upside down. Like in a matter of seconds. And so I didn't go on that job path, and I continued like helping her. And I went into that vape shop that one day, and they're like, I was just like kind of just explaining my situation. I was like, I'm really struggling right now. Like, I just had to quit my job to take care of my partner. And like, I don't know what to do because I can't have a job. Like, I'm taking her like 4 different appointments a day. Like, there's just no way. And they're like, well, we really need your knowledge. So if you are willing to come work a couple hours a day here, if anything happens where you need to go home and check on your partner or, go make her lunch or something, we will let you leave here and go do that. And then you can come back. And that blew my mind. It blew my mind and opened my world to the vape community. And I was like, wow, I cannot believe that somebody was willing to be that accommodating for me. Plus, I was helping them out. So it was like a win win for everybody involved. But that's when I knew that like I wanted to work in that community. And I was like, I will forever always continue to pay it forward, you know. And I was able to personally like help so many people get off of cigarettes and find vaping, and that is just like an extremely rewarding thing. Like even to this day, like I think it's been like 9 years now, I'll have people be like, dude, you sold me my first vape like 8 years ago. Like, you are so incredible. And I'm like, what? Like, I was just doing what I was doing. You know what I mean? Like, don't give me all the credit. You did all the hard work, you know? But like, just to like hear that, I'm like, holy crap. And that's why I've never left it. Like, I've tried to like go back to like the tech industry. I've tried to take several different career changes, but I always find my way back to working in the vape community because it's so rewarding. It's not like we make billions of dollars. It's definitely not a money making job. It's definitely something you do for passion. So, but I always remember like where I came from and how it's helped me throughout the years too. And it's brought me so much joy in meeting people as well, like friendships and people I consider my family now, like
yep.
just meeting through online forums or on chats or here, you know. bringing us together today to talk about mental health and just like awareness, like that's phenomenal. It's just like the common core to all of it, and it's very interesting.
Well, so
And
Lynn's here from the UK. Could that have
yeah,
happened? Would that have happened without this? Probably not. And Lynn's family. Sorry, you are Lynn, and Mowgli,
hmm
Lando. I mean, everybody in chat. I mean, it becomes like if I don't see these people for a while, I start to worry. I mean,
same.
honestly, I do.
I'm
Like
the
when,
same
like,
way.
well, here's an example: Friction Vapes. When he was out, when he knew he was sick, it's like I low key was really kind of super concerned. Jenny,
Yeah.
when she was out, same thing. It's like when
hmm
people are struggling with these things. Mowgli. I mean, I didn't know Mowgli when he was had this issue he just talked about, but that is scary. Spinal problems are scary. You never know. I mean, what happens if you can't walk again? My heart
Yeah.
issue I had, by all means, technically, according to paperwork, I should be dead, but I'm here. And I just look at it as I'm here for a reason. This feels like the right reason. That's what
Yeah.
drives me every week. That's what keeps me going. I know I tried. It seems almost like I do it because I want to be in front of. No, trust me. That's the farthest from the truth it could ever be. I'm here because I love everybody in this chat. I love everybody in this community, and that's why I'm here.
For real.
Yeah.
Like the virtual hugs are real. Like
Yep.
the love for one another and how we all have like this drive to help people is real. Like it's awesome. There's a few bad apples in the mix, but don't let that taint the rest of us because we are all pretty
The,
awesome.
the vape community is full of some of the most loving, compassionate people you could ever meet. It's the biggest community I've ever belonged to or been even a side adjacent to. That even I was a counselor at one point, and I never got the experience of how much compassion is in this community. Even
hmm
then, and you would think that'd be a place where you'd see a lot of compassion. You actually saw a lot of people just sick of their job, struggling just to get through to get a paycheck,
Yeah.
because a lot of that's because people coming in it really didn't want to get help as well. They really were there so they could get into clinics and stuff like that and get medications they shouldn't be on, but going through the steps. And you saw that a lot. You don't see that here. Everybody's here because they want to help each other. They want to help themselves. They want to live a better life. It's the most pure community I've ever experienced. And I believe it truly is.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's too because we all struggled with quitting smoking,
Yep.
like I tried so many times in my lifetime, and by the time I quit smoking, I was like a 3 pack a dayer, especially if I was drinking, because that's all we did. We sit at the bar and chain smoke. So 3 packs a day. I had tried so many times to quit. I was super unsuccessful, or I'd quit for 6 months, and then St. Patrick's Day would happen, and then that was out the window, something like that. But like once vaping changed all of our lives, then it just becomes a part of you because you're a believer, like you witness it firsthand and you want to share that with as many people as you can, right? At least that's the way I look
A
at it.
month into it, when you can breathe easy, you're not coughing your lungs up every morning when you wake up.
Yep.
You're not coughing up and actually coughing up chunks of black stuff and
hmm
blowing your nose. All this, you can actually start to exercise, run again. That guy at the vape shop I've brought up a few times that does triathlons. He couldn't climb a flight of stairs before he started. He's like in his 60s, and
Yep.
he'd only been vaping for like 4 years. In 4 years, he went from basically, he said, he walking up a flight of stairs to his apartment would almost kill him.
Yeah.
And then he
Yeah.
goes from that to a triathlon, and he came in when that flavor ban first started. And he's like, I can't believe he was the most irate person I've ever seen in my life, and deservingly so. But that's what I'm saying. The community cares about each other because that's the
Yeah.
whole premise: is you care about yourself and the health of others.
A
Is
hundred
nothing
percent.
like that. I don't know if there's any other true organization that can say that there isn't somebody in it for a paycheck. Yes, you have the people that run the business. Most of
Right.
them vape. And that's how they started because they're a part of the community. So that it's not just that they're doing it to make money, they also are on the other side of it because they know it saves lives.
I know. And,
Yeah.
and it was like so crazy because we were talking about this on the show the other night, and I was like, never in my wildest dreams would I ever imagine that smoking would have brought me this much joy. And it's because I was a smoker, I am now having so much joy in this community. It's like it's weird to think about that. Like I just never would have. imagined that being a smoker would have brought me to this. And that's why I want to share it with everybody.
And
Yeah.
that's why this show works so well too, as well as it's been going. And it's not me. It's actually because the community already is that. It's already that entity. It's already there. Yes, I try to branch out beyond it a little bit, but in general, the community is the core. It truly is, because that's the people that really care about each other. They
Yeah, but
truly do.
you're bringing more people together though, too. So you got to give yourself some kind of credit there.
I try, but it's really it's not. It's I just want people to live better, healthier lives.
Yeah, I
Mentally
feel
as
that.
well. I mean, suicide scares me. I've been there. And
Yeah.
if I had someone reach out to me during that time, which they should have, but at the same time, it's awkward. My family
Hmm.
knew I was struggling, but they didn't reach out to me because they're like, I don't know what to say. And that's what I was told
Right.
later. I was told by them that I didn't know what to say. And I actually was left alone. Family dissipated because of my wife and I split because of everything that's going on. I was so depressed.
Hmm.
And when she went, obviously the first week she went, she took the kids with her. I mean, obviously I was going to see them, but it was when she took the kids with her, it's like I didn't want to be around at that point. It's like I'm done. I have no purpose here right now, and that was it. And I hit that low, and I wound up in the hospital. And I woke up and said, "Fuck, I'm still alive." When you're saying that, and you really mean it,
Yeah.
and then they give you the option to stay or go home, it's like, well, I can go home, but I'm coming back here one way or another, and it probably is not going to be as pleasant. So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. And especially in this day and age too. I know this past year has been an extreme struggle for a lot of people.
yeah, I'm scared to see the numbers when they finally come out because they are hard fast, not truly releasing all the numbers.
Yeah.
And we know this depression has kicked in a lot of people. We've seen it with friends and family, people in the vape community that are just right down sometimes. And with what's going on right now in the vape community in the US,
Hmm.
all of us are
Yeah.
stressed out to some level or one level or another. If you're a part of the community and you know what's going on, you're stressing.
Right.
I mean, doomsday prepping. I know you've been doing it.
On
I've
top
been doing
of
it.
the stress of normal life, on top of like dealing with this new way of life and being unsure of what the future holds. I know for me that was a big struggle, is like the unsureness of what's going to happen and not being in control of that. um but yeah, like, I mean, I lost several friends to suicide unfortunately last year, like, and it's just, it's awful. It's one of those things where you're just like, God, I wish I would have seen signs, or I wish I would have seen it. I wanted to reach out to that person. I wish I could have, right? So putting yourself out there, saying things like that, like reach out, talk to people, and being that platform, and letting people talk to you as well, like that's huge. It's huge.
And that's what the Discord and stuff's for and everything, because you don't always have to see a professional to get yourself out of the rock bottom.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be all you ever need. Some people thrive on just having people around to talk to. And
I,
then there's others
I
that
was
it might be
against it for so many years, and look at
it
me.
might and
It's
it could
wild.
be just a stepping stone on your way to it, and it
Hmm.
might give you a little insight of what to talk to your doctor about if you find somebody that has a little insight on it. It might make things easier and at least progress and make you so don't have to go through that long guinea pig route that I went through. And it was not fun. The guinea pig route is not a fun spot to be in when they don't know exactly what to do for you, but they're trying to figure it out. And you don't know what to say because you're in a funk. Your mind's not working quite right because you're like lost in your own head. So you're
Right.
not going to tell them all the information you really need to tell them because they're not. How? It's like,
Right.
working with a computer with 12,000 viruses on it and expecting it to work like, a brand new computer. It's not going to work.
100%.
Yeah.
I just want to throw this out there real quick. I will be your cousin anytime, Jake, and I'm glad you're here, friend.
Yep. And thank you, Tess, again for coming because it is great to see. And Amy got the on screen and the off screen, and the love you guys share. Like getting to see her after the show the other night, it means a lot to me. It really
Dude,
does.
we've been through some times. That's like when you know you have your person, is when they're still here, when they've seen you through your worst. Like, that's amazing.
And I like how you got the knockoff Dixon thing. I just do. That, yeah, black and yellow.
Banana Republic. of all
It's
things.
and it's the right color. Oh,
Yeah.
that almost reminds me of our we got to remember we're getting close to time to the end here. We got to remember that. Okay, so I hope he doesn't get mad because he said it was okay on Saturday. The emoji for Grimm's show tonight, for Nick Green's show, is supposed to be some version of Lee's Jizz Milkshake Shack. Man, I don't even like saying that on there. But
I
if
know.
you caught Saturday's stream, somehow, because I added Lee to something, because Neighbor wouldn't fit, and it went, Quiplash goes dirty. I had the family filter on. It doesn't work.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. We
yeah.
we were playing with my family, my little niece and nephew, and there are some wild questions that came up on there, and
Yep.
I'm like, what?
Well, the answers are not. I mean, I am convinced there's absolutely no filter. There's just a checkbox that's just put there to make you feel better. But
Agreed.
that somehow that got trending, and that's supposed to be it. I think it's a splash in a milk glass. But come up with your own versions tonight, and just have a little fun with it. Or banana balls is always a go-to if you get bored with it,
Banana balls.
because according to John, remember, if you transplant a banana plant, you got to ball up that root and transport it. So you got to grab that banana by the balls. So it fits. It's
The,
real.
the banana
There you
balls
go.
has made it into a lot of chats,
I
just so you
noticed.
know.
I've noticed that.
It's
I don't know
starting
whether to
to
be
like
proud or
make its
crawl under
way
the desk.
into a lot of shows, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh,
I guess I heard that
thanks.
they explained it to Nick the last after last week's show, and it's like he's
Yeah,
still confused. He's still
I tell
confused.
him every week what it is, and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, there we go. Tessa's got a good version of that. Yeah, there we go.
Well, I like that one. Yeah,
Oh boy, but I
that's
mean that
awesome.
and the thing is, when he does catch on to these things, I've seen it before. It'll bring him out of his serious note, especially push this thing when he gets serious into advocacy to the point where you can see it's affecting him. Because we all know he won't break free unless something breaks him out of it. And
Right.
right now I know he's stressing. He's not saying everything on screen. We know he's stressing. Let's just try to give him a little bit of happiness and fun in his life
Put
when he's
that
going through this.
smile on his face and on
Yes,
anyone's face that you can.
and make sure he hydrates, because that's another thing he forgets to do. I'm sorry, I
No,
worry about
I
him.
was really spamming that one. Tuesday, Bro Newsday.
Yeah, I saw that, and he wasn't listening. So
No.
I've had to put in super chats before, but then he gets so focused on that, and he doesn't check the super chats at the end of the show. It's like, yeah, I tried that. So that's when I love it when Michelle's around, because she'll message him. She'll actually send him a text, like,
I
you know,
know. Yeah,
yeah.
she
It's like,
will.
thank you. Oh God, Lady Liberty. Okay, so that's gonna be a fun show. I'll have to
Well,
have you back on sometime soon, and we'll have to go into some more details, because it is
yeah.
impossible to get into any detail at any point. If anybody has any questions and stuff, start thinking of them now. Lethal's good to see you here. Oh God, Lethal's kind of weird because it makes a nice V. Um, but
It
yeah,
does.
it does. Oh God, the way you did that did not look right. Just say, yeah, okay. But that said, tune in if you're part of the vape community. Obviously, go give Grim Green some love, and if not, you might want to check it out anyway, because sometimes you see tidbits of mental health in that show that go a long ways. Like one of the things he had an issue where he was feeling worn out and needed a little time off. Remember to take some personal time. Remember to take the time
Yes.
off, and not to push yourself all the time or stress over things you can't control. It's a hard thing to do. Your description of the way you were at work, always pushing, excuse me, to get to the top, that was
Yeah.
me. And that's good until you get to the top. And then it's like, what do I do?
It's like you're living
Yeah.
for the burnout.
Yep. Yep.
Like the whole time. And like, so I know I didn't get to like really fully like say everything that I was like planning on saying, but like, even if you live your life as a pretty upset individual or angry or bitter for a long time, like things change and you have the power to do so. It's just got to make that choice.
Oh, by the way, with Lee's thing, as long as and please, if Lee does say to stop, we'll stop. Because I always have that respect thing factor. Like I was expecting it to flip on me because he did the Lubrity thing, and I thought for sure this is gonna flip. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. and it never flipped. It's like I almost felt bad until he got into it and went with it too, and he actually
I
won a
need to
couple of them.
rewatch the show. I was really
Oh, you
busy
gotta
with
see it.
getting my plumbing done,
You
so like
gotta see
I've
it
missed this whole past week.
because I'm seeing, I'm sitting there thinking, and I saw this one. I was like, oh man, I feel so bad for Lee on this one. He's just getting harassed, and then it was Lee's answer. It's like, yeah, okay,
He'll throw himself under the bus. Mega
yeah,
super legend.
you gotta love him. Yep, you gotta.
Oh, of course. He's a
And
staple.
unfortunately, I'm hearing rumors that there's other future jokes coming out of this. This isn't the end of it. It might
Oh,
last to the
wonderful.
summer. Yes.
Good
It's
old
a,
boy.
yep. Come Infused Jerky was the older one. It used to be from Kira. From Kira.
What?
They used to be, that was the go-to before, and unfortunately, that started on my show. I think my show has got this root of the bad. uh,
Hey,
the
we can
interesting.
all
Yeah.
dish it and take a joke, right? So
Yeah.
that's cool. It might get a
That
little wild sometimes, like just
that said,
milkshakes.
so everybody knows. I mean, because you are involved in a few things here, and there's places to reach you. Why don't you
Hmm.
give a little rundown of some of the places they could reach out to you, check you out, or watch you either live, or I know you're on Instagram, so yeah.
I am on Instagram, disco underscore potato underscore. You can definitely give me a follow over there. On Sunday nights, I am on the late night vape show with Bill and Mick. It's always a good time there. We just like to chat and shoot the stuff and make each other laugh, and then throw some vapey things in there too. So definitely check us out over on the late night vape show channel. Mondays, Jay and I do the 510 connection. And again, it's just a chilled show, throw some vaping things in there, but more of like a chat and chill. We interact with the chat quite a bit. So you can catch us there. And I do the podcast with Casey and Michelle over on Grim Green's Discord. So if you are a Patreon member and a member of the Discord, you can catch that over there too. And you'll learn a lot more about me because I share some really personal stuff over there. And sometimes they're like, I think I overshared a little bit,
It's
just a
not
little
just
bit.
you. There's a little oversharing from all three of you, but I love it.
Yeah, we really
Um,
know how to bring out the best in each other, and it's pretty great. Our
it
vibe on the
is.
podcast is
The
fantastic, and it's something special. I love it. I hope people enjoy listening
if
to it.
you're into a little bit oversharing, it is, and you're in that Discord, or if you're not a part of Discord, please consider joining, even if that's the only reason you join, because it is, oh my God, hilarious. You guys are a riot. Um, yeah, and Lynn was in here earlier. I want to give a shout out. The Misfits, the Vaping Misfits show
Yes.
on Sundays at 4:30 Eastern. Figure out your time zone from there, and they do a show. I think this weekend they're going to be on a little bit later. I think they're going to be an hour later because they have a guest that's not going to be on the same
Oh, right
time.
on.
But they got the show there, and then you know obviously, I'm here this on Thursdays at 6 p.m. to 7 because I want to get off and get plenty of time for people to switch over to Nick, to Greg Green. And then Saturdays at 9 p.m. And maybe someday, if you get a chance at a Saturday, Saturdays are not time limited. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's unfortunately like on Thursdays, like I said, I like to make sure everybody gets a chance to switch over, get a little break, a little down. Yeah, thank you, Mowgli. Smash that like button you want. I'm not good at this because that's I go right into I worry about everybody else. I actually don't think about the show. It goes past that every time. I'm
I
sorry. I'm
feel
not
it.
good at that self promotional thing.
Yeah,
Obviously,
smash
I'm
that like
on.
button. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed.
That said, thank you guys for being here. I love you, fam. I love you a lot. Lando, I'm so happy that you were pleasantly surprised, and I was right. Not because I want to be right, even though I said it earlier, but because it gives you a new avenue and it opens your world up a lot to more experiences, which is amazing. It makes me very happy. And same with you, Disco Potato. I really need to touch base with you on a few of these flavors, a few recipes, because I know you have some good ones. I'm still learning. I'm really new and green to this whole DIY thing. So,
That's the best part, though.
yep,
Don't get other people's like opinions in your head too, because the best part is being creative and coming up with something that you like. That's all that matters. If you like it, then that's really all that matters.
if
But
you
it
want.
is
Oh,
fun and creative if you're
I
craving
should
something.
give this shout out to my ELR, I guess. And I
There
have
you
to give a
go.
liberty on ELR because I did come up. It's called a chocolate caramel donut,
Ooh.
but you don't taste the caramel because it's kind of a behind, but it gives that creamy flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Lady Liberty used to work at Dunkin' Donuts.
Mm-hmm.
To her and everybody who's tried it, it is spot on chocolate frosted donut
Well,
flavor
I
from
need to
Dunkin'
go over
Donuts.
and check it out.
It is, and it really is. I taste it, and that's all I taste is just a chocolate frosted donut, glazed. Is it frosted? Never mind. Yeah, I'm being
What's the
told.
recipe called?
Chocolate. It's chocolate caramel donut, but it's actually the caramel kind of gives it that. You know how sometimes you don't really taste the flavor, but it gives that creamy. It does that. If I'd upped it, I could make it more of a caramel, but I kind of love it where it's at, so I don't really want to change it. Probably should change the name, but that said, go check that out if you. I know Lando loves donuts. If you ever start DIYing, I have a feeling that'll be a go-to flavor for you. So that said,
Heck
we'll
yeah.
get off here. Thank you very much, guys. I love you very much. I really do. I'm not just saying that. You're my family, and every week you make my week a better one.
Hugs to everybody. Thank you for having me on and letting me share a little bit of my story. That was really nice of you.
Hope to have you on more and have more of the story. Get you in one of those really funky moods that Tess can pick on you about later.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.